special guest, the speaker here, Chief Norman, the fire chief of FD number 1 here in Travis County, who is also a veteran. We want to thank him for coming today, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what they do and how they do it. Chief Norman.
Thank you very much. And St. Peter's, thank you for putting this on every year. It's really great that you recognize the first responders and more importantly, our veterans. As the gentleman mentioned, ESD 1, we have 13 veterans in our ESD, and it's a pretty honorable thing to know. In fact, we have one of our employees that's deployed right now to the Horn of Africa, David Hardcastle. So we want to remember him, and he's going to be gone for probably another 9 months. We don't expect him back until next summer. I'm always a little embarrassed when I consider myself a veteran because I think I'm the only one in our organization that never saw combat. So I did serve. I did serve my 2 years active and 4 years reserve, but the most harm that I was facing was probably the food. So beyond that, I'm not a veteran in the sense of the way that I respect most of y'all in this room and the people of Travis County ESD 1. Those people put it on the line, and they were away from their families. And at the time I was in the military, I wasn't married, I was young and just looking for something to give me a little bit of foundation in my life. So I started it. So Travis County Emergency Services District 1, for those of you who are not familiar with it. So if you live on the north side of the lake and you're in Travis County, you're in Travis County Emergency Services District 1. You're also now in Travis County Emergency Services District 7. Both of those are just a funding mechanism that funds your fire department. It doesn't really matter the ESD 1 or 7 as far as what the service delivery is. ESD 7 was created 2 years ago to allow additional funding to allow us to build the fire stations that you see under construction, a training facility, and to hire additional staff. We were covering 178 square miles on a daily basis with 6 people on duty running out of 3 fire stations. 178 square miles cannot be covered effectively with 6 people on duty every day. Thanks to the ESD 7 creation and freeing up that money, we now have 15 people on duty. We're still running out of the same 3 fire stations, but what we've been able to do is add additional apparatus in those stations, so when that second, third, and fourth call comes in, that we're not having to move so far away and answer the calls with being behind the 8 ball so much and not having great response times. When I came to the ESD in 2014, our response times were over 20 minutes. It wasn't because the organization was a bad organization, but when you're coming from Jonestown and you're going to Singleton Bend on a priority 1 call, there's no way to meet the national standards in 8 minutes and 15 seconds. It just cannot be done. And we are very notorious for not having 1 call at a time. We get multiple calls at a time. I was just joking with Larry Hagler. He's a fan of the fire department and a friend of mine. I'm honored to call him that. And not so long ago, he came by to visit with me, and we had a call that required the chief to respond. And Larry, coming from the fire service, I asked Larry, I said, "Hey, you want to go with me?" He's like, "Sure, I would like to go." We answered that high priority call. Then we had a house on fire. Then we had a baby choking, and it just never stopped. And it was, I think, a pretty big wake-up call for Larry is what we do and how much we answer and how many calls that we answer. So ESD 7 did more than add fire stations and firefighters to our area here. It did something that I think that was the biggest accomplishment that most people didn't think that we would be able to accomplish it because it's only done in the big cities. So there are 3 levels of first responder medical certifications in the state of Texas. The basic level is an EMT, and that EMT level is life-saving abilities. Believe me when I say that. So I don't want to minimize an EMT. And then you have what's called an advanced EMT, which can do all the life-saving interventions that the EMT can do, but they can start IVs, add some medications, and do more. And then there's a paramedic. So the paramedic is at the highest end of the level, and what they do is they basically bring the emergency room to your house. We carry 70 medications, all the cardiac monitors, and so on and so forth, and we have doctors on the phone. It takes nearly 2 years to go to school to be a paramedic. It's a pretty difficult process. On June 1 of 2014, the ESD had 1 paramedic, and it was me, and we did not have authorization through our medical director because we work under a doctor to allow us to function at the advanced life support level. Literally, without exaggeration, on December 22nd of 2015, I had a 38-year-old woman die before my eyes. She could not, I was not allowed to treat her at the advanced life support level due to the bureaucracy that was created with the city of Austin, who was our medical director. So this woman had no medical history, and I don't want to go into a lot of details, but I knew from that point forward that I was either not going to be the fire chief of ESD1 or we were going to have paramedics and we were going to be able to treat people. It was a fight. I'm here to tell you it was not an easy process. Jumping to today, we have 15 people on duty every day, and over half of our staff are paramedics. A fourth of those that are not paramedics now are in paramedic school, and the other fourth of those people will be starting paramedic school again in January or February. If I were to come here again, thank you. If I were to come here again next year, which I hope to be here, maybe not as your speaker, I think it would be easy to report that we're probably at 80% paramedics. So we've also added, we have 2 City of Austin ambulances here. It's kind of confusing for people that you see red ambulances and green and blue ambulances. So the green and blue ambulances belong to the City of Austin. They are City of Austin employees that Travis County, not the ESD, Travis County coming from the City of Austin, pays to fund those 2 ambulances out here as a part of your county tax dollars. And they do a great job. They provide a great service. They're a part of a system where we work together with those people. But the same problem that we had trying to cover from a fire standpoint, you can't cover 178 square miles with 2 ambulances, especially when the turnaround time is 2 hours when the time they leave here and go to the hospital and come back. So we were leaving big holes in the district even when they're here. So we bought ambulances. So we now have 4 that protect our district. We have 2 that are red and white that are ESD ambulances, and we still have the 2 green and blue. The sophisticated way that they're dispatched, the computer actually finds the closest ambulance. So when you dial 911, it doesn't matter to the computer which ambulance it sends. You get a green and blue one, or you get a red and white one, but the closest ambulance comes. And we've actually reduced our response times by 50%. So cutting to the chase, people are no longer waiting 20 minutes to get a fire truck or an ambulance to their house. People are no longer waiting for 30 or 40 minutes for an ambulance to come up from Austin and keeping a fire truck tied up to give you a ride. We're no longer calling Starflight. That was the next part of the scenario, that anytime there was going to be more than a 25-minute delay on getting an ambulance, they would automatically launch Starflight, and we were having our citizens pay $15,000 Starflight bills to take you to the hospital for a lower priority thing. So that's not good, in the fact that we're charging you $15,000 to take you to the hospital when you didn't really need a helicopter. But more importantly, the thing that really bothered me, now we've tied up a helicopter, and if somebody really needs it, we've got a low priority patient in there. So it seemed like the way to fix the problem is to get more ambulances, to hire more paramedics, to train more people and fix the problem, and not just let it continue to go on like it was. In addition to the ambulances, if you will notice our fire trucks, every one of them says paramedic on the side of it. What that means is every fire truck has a paramedic on it, and they have everything that the ambulance has with the exception of a cot. So a lot of people wonder, when I dial 911, why do I get a fire truck for an ambulance call? Because they're closer. We have a lot more fire trucks than we do ambulances. So what we're doing is we're sending the paramedic to your house quickly. The paramedic can treat you, do everything the ambulance can do except give you the ride to the hospital. And then if you are a critical, high priority patient, which sometimes that happens, then we have 2 paramedics, the one that's on the ambulance and the one that's on the fire truck, and they can both go to the hospital with you and give you, a lot better care and treat you the way that you need to be treated, and not withhold some of the medications because it takes 2 people to do this, and so on and so forth. So our system has greatly improved. I will tell you that we are one of 20 fire departments in the state of Texas that is about to be recognized by the Texas Fire Chiefs Association. So there are a little more than 2,000 fire departments in the state of Texas. The Texas Fire Chiefs Association has a best practices recognition program that's been in place for a long time. There are only 19 fire departments that exist in the state today that has made that credential of being credentialed as a best practice fire department and getting the sticker on the truck that says the Texas Fire Chiefs Association says that you're doing everything right. We are under review as we speak now, and we will be the 20th out of 2,000 in the state of Texas to get that credential saying that we're doing everything right. So we're pretty proud of that. Yeah. I will close in something that I've been asking you all to understand so that you would help us fund the ESD7 to allow us to do the things we're doing. ISO, Insurance Services Office, is what determines what you pay for homeowners insurance. There are two factors that play into that. One is water. What is your water like? And the other one is your fire department. So our last rating was in 2011. I will tell you that we didn't do well. We were mediocre in some areas, and we were extremely poor in others. It just the fact of the matter, that's where we were in 2011. I don't fault the previous chief or anybody that was there. They weren't doing anything wrong. They just didn't really have a mechanism to do the things right because they didn't have the money. When I came here on June 1, 2014 was my first day as a fire chief, I had 29 fire trucks. 25 years old was the average age of the fire trucks. Not one single fire truck pumping apparatus would pass state inspection, would not pass pump tests, ladder tests, or hose testing. The guys, without exaggeration, you can't make this stuff up, folks, they carried as many tools on the truck as mechanics because more often than not, the trucks would break down on the way to the calls. That's what was going on. And again, no one really thought of a mechanism by which to fix the problem because the ESD funding was established 20 years ago to fund equipment for volunteer fire departments. Then it evolved into a career fire department, and you can't run a payroll and buy the equipment on 10 cents on 100. So anyway, I knew that if we put these mechanisms in place that we could do better on our insurance rating. So a class 1 is the very best in the nation. A class 10 is the worst, and they consider that unprotected. They look at you having no fire department. There are 344 class 1s in the nation. There are 1,400 class 2s in the nation, and everybody else is a 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth. We are a very unique thing that we are a 4-split class, which means depending on where you live in the ESD, you have a different rating for the ESD. We have 10s. If you live out west in some of the areas of Singleton Bend, you are class 10. Your insurance company considers you today as being unprotected, and we have people that their homeowner policies are not even renewing right now. We have class 8B, which is better than a 10, and what that means is you have a fire station within 5 miles of your house, but there's no water. Then we have a class 5, and that's what you are if you live in Lago Vista or Jonestown. It seems mediocre, but it's really not. There's a lot of penalty for being a class 5. Then we have a small portion of our district, which is the village of Point Fincher, we're a 4. So all the infrastructure that we've been putting in place, the water tenders, the fire stations, the firefighters, the apparatus, a lot of infrastructure has been put into place over the last 2 or 3 years. We hired a consultant to help us with the ISO. The gentleman that we're working with worked for ISO for 25 years, and then he's been a consultant for 16. He will tell you that when he does these consulting for an area, he will never guarantee you what grade that you're going to get from ISO, but he's never got it wrong. So I'm pretty confident that when he tells you that this is what we're going to accomplish, that's where we're going to be. I'm here to report that we're going to be evaluated on January 3rd of this year, and the consultant believes that we will move to a class 2 completely district-wide. Wow. Yeah. So if you're a class 10 and you go to a 2, I'm going to be the hero for those people. I'm telling you, because it's I can do no wrong for that day. It will be a big amount. But to put it into perspective, we have about 18,000 rooftops that we protect at ESD1. The average insurance premium is around $1,750. That equates to, I think it's about $38 million, if I'm not mistaken. And what class 2 does as an average of everybody is about a $4 million, 17%, $4 million savings per year is what we're going to give back to the citizens. And that's double what you're paying that created ESD 7. So we are going to pay you back for what you gave us in the beginning to help us put this infrastructure in place. But again, I think if I come to you again next year and you compare your ESD 7 tax to your homeowner's bill, the difference from what it was a year ago, I think that you will see the value spent in the ESD7 and see that it's really not costing you any money. So we're letting the insurance company fund ESD7 in essence, and we're able to provide a better service to the citizens and get there quicker, get there with equipment that's not going to break down, get there with more trained and well-qualified people. And the people that are showing up, the Texas Fire Chiefs Association would have said that we're one of 20 in the state of Texas that has met the mark of doing everything exactly the way it's supposed to be done. So that's all I have. I'm happy to answer any questions for people. I said I would keep it to 15 minutes, and I have a hard time doing that because I could talk. So, I'm passionate about our fire department. I will close it. When I came here, we were not a destination fire department. One of the biggest problems I had as the fire chief is I couldn't keep anybody here. We were paying $9 an hour for a starting firefighter. The conditions weren't good, and you can only imagine the morale's not good when your trucks are breaking down and you're not well thought of, and so on and so forth. So people were leaving quickly as they could get a better job. And we finally stabilized that. We are a destination fire department. The federal government gave us a grant this year to hire 6 firefighters. So they fund that for 3 years, 75% the first year, 75% the second year, and 35% the third. They pay all the insurance premiums and so on and so forth. We hired the first 3, and we had 47 people apply for 3 positions at ESD1, and any one of those 47 we would have hired. These are not people that you don't want. These are not undesirables. We had people from Leander Fire Department apply here. We had people from Pflugerville Fire Department, Burnett Fire Department, Brady Fire Department, Travis County ESD 11, Travis County ESD 3. Both of those pay more than, or 3 does pay more than we do. So what I'm saying is we've developed a culture here where it's a destination department. The people you see today are probably the people you're going to see tomorrow because people want to work here. And it's not because so much of what's going on in the fire department. It's this community. This is one of the most welcoming communities that I've ever worked in my 36 years of being a firefighter. From the day that I came here, from day one that I went to Mass at St. Mary's, I have felt like I've been a part of the community. My wife, my children, the firefighters, it is not uncommon, and I'm not suggesting anybody do this, it is not uncommon for them to make their daily grocery store trip to go get the groceries for the shift for the day, and some anonymous person will have paid for their food. The grocery store will give us things, the gas stations, coffee, discounts. There are always people coming by the fire station giving us cookies and donuts, whatever it is. I have never experienced this, and I've lived in some affluent areas, and I've been in the operations and chiefs of affluent areas, and this is a place that everybody wants to work. The fire department is certainly a portion of that, but the community as a whole is what keeps these people here. That's why they're sitting here tonight. They were invited here. I think that our people feel like that they're invited anywhere without even getting the phone call, that they're a part of this community. And so I thank you as citizens for making it so comfortable and making us feel so welcome of being a part of this community. So anyway, I will truly close with that. I'm at 22 minutes, but I will take any questions that y'all have. Yeah.